Our son Eben is at the stage in his life where if mom or dad leaves the room, even if just for a second, he loses his little mind. If he happens to see us walk down the hallway or go to the kitchen, he will army crawl after us, bawling with the saddest look in his eye, as if to say, "Mom and Dad, how could you?" And it's even worse if he doesn't realize that we left the room. Although we love him more than he could ever understand and he is securely attached to us, there is still that infant fear that if mom or dad get too far away, they might not come back. I wonder, do we ever feel that way about God? Are we ever afraid that God has left us and isn't planning on returning? Do we ever wonder if God seems to be silent, that God might no longer be listening? In Deuteronomy chapter 31, the people of God, they're preparing to cross over the Jordan River into the Promised Land after 40 years of wandering the desert following the Exodus from Egypt. And at the same time, Moses has been told by God that he would not be going with the Israelites across the river and is passing his leadership on to Joshua, whom Moses had been mentoring. Which, even though the people of Israel had seen Joshua live in action, would have been a significant change. Additionally, Moses gives them the heads up that they will run into hostile enemies and cities along the way who might appear bigger and stronger than they are. Again, something to be concerned about. Then in verses 7 through 8, Moses brings Joshua before the people to bless him in their sight and encourage everyone of God's continuing presence. Moses says, "Be strong and courageous, for you must go with the people into the land that the Lord swore to their ancestors to give them, and you must divide it among them as their inheritance. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." These were the words that Joshua and the Israelites needed to hear as they entered this new and unknown chapter in their collective journeys. Despite the changes that were happening, God would sustain them. They would face challenges in the miles ahead, and there would be some getting used to the new leadership, the new territory, and a whole crop of new enemies. And yet, God, who protected them before, was the same God who would walk alongside of them now. In many ways, we aren't that different from the Israelites or even from my son Eben. We might know in our hearts that God is with us, and yet in our heads there can still be that underlying fear that when things change unexpectedly or when challenges or situations arise, that maybe God walked out of the room, maybe God can't hear us crying, maybe God isn't coming back. But we can be assured, just like God assured the Israelites through Moses, that the Lord himself goes before us and will be with us. He will never leave us nor forsake us. And so do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. As we enter into the last few weeks of what has been an incredibly long and difficult year, and as we anticipate the next year to come with certain degrees of anxiety, concern, maybe some apprehension, may we be comforted in knowing that no matter what happens, no matter what curveballs might be thrown our way, no matter how difficult things might get, God is with us. He will not leave us. He will not forsake us. May you experience God's peace in your heart as we enter this new and unknown future together. That's all for now. Feel peace. Stay safe. See you soon.